recycle, take public transport, and turned off unused lights, so I'm already doing enough.
Climate change is unlikely to directly affect me.
What do you think?
No. Disagree.
So this
Disagree.
one,
Strongly disagree.
strongly disagree. This one is a tricky one because admittedly, I do love traveling. Hi, my name is Jay. I work at the Earth Observatory of Singapore, where I work with climate scientists on a daily basis. My background is in environmental studies, and today I will be here talking with Ming.
So I'm Ming. I work here at the Science Centre Singapore as a science educator. So I teach mainly biology, life sciences to students and kids and their occasional sustainability.
At the Earth Alive exhibit at the Science Centre Singapore, we have this climate chat. It's part of the exhibit where we encourage people to talk about climate issues. So we have here some statements relating to the climate, and we'll be discussing how we feel about it, and then collectively deciding whether we want to, where we want to put it on the spectrum of strongly disagree to strongly agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
So why not you read the
first one? Okay. I recycle, take public transport, and turned off unused lights, so I'm already doing enough. What do you think?
I disagree with that statement. I feel that we can always do more. I always teach students that you can always do more for the environment, knowing and then of course help out with other bigger issues. Because individual action like this, I don't think is enough to curb the climate change that may be happening right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think individual action for me, and I totally do all these things, or I try to, is really important in that it really serves to remind us of these things and to keep us accountable to taking actions wherever we can. And I think that for me is a really powerful practice. Right, so one statistic that really stays with me is that within Singapore, the households only account for about 6% of carbon emissions. And this is compared to other sectors or industry in general account for about, I think, 60% if I'm not wrong. And that is massive, right? So I think even if all households did everything when completely net zero, it would still really pale in comparison to everything that we could do when we engage with other stakeholders, whether it's businesses or whether it's at a policy level. So I think we can also be involved with that.
Next card. Climate change is unlikely to directly affect me. No. Disagree.
Yeah, disagree. Okay, do you want to start?
I think because we can already see the effects of climate change even in Singapore, right? Previously we had a pretty hot dry spell for a while. So the climate around Singapore, though it's still the same, it's shifted. So you can't predict, should I bring an umbrella today? Should I be wearing slightly thinner clothing today, right? It's just hard to predict anymore, right? That's affecting us.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's not even just about being uncomfortable, right? I think even weather and climate has a lot of other impacts. When it comes to weather, for example, the heat extreme heat, like heat waves that we're seeing in other places, or even just heat in Singapore can really have a strong negative impact on people who are vulnerable, people who don't have air conditioning at home, people who are working outdoors, for which heat is really a health hazard. And beyond that, right, the issues of food security, sea level rise, all of these are going to impact our food sources, or going to impact Singapore's existence. And I think these are all very severe things that may not be immediately apparent, but will definitely be an issue that we need to continue focusing on.
Definitely.
So this
disagree. Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree. All right.
Okay. Next card. Okay. People should avoid air travel because airplanes use large amounts of fossil fuel. What do you think?
Oh. This one is a tricky one because admittedly I do love traveling. But yeah, I must say I generally agree. Yeah, that's my first sense. What do you think?
Differing thoughts about that.
Okay.
Because especially I think in a Singaporean context, we are very small, and you run into the risk of getting isolated in a small area. You don't see what's happening out there in the greater world. Going further out, you will need a plane. And then when you go out and see the world, then you understand what's actually happening out there. Because Singapore, it's very picturestic. So I feel that we should travel out. Of course, avoid air travel as much as you can, but if you cannot, it's always good to have a wider view of the world. So to me, it's really here in the grey zone. What do you think?
Maybe we can put this in
agree
the middle.
to disagree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Next one. People should not eat meat because raising livestock plays a large role in climate change. What do you think?
Dear.
Oh dear.
I personally quite enjoy my meat.
Okay.
But I understand the impact of the agriculture in terms of meat stock, cows, pigs, whatnot. Can't pull the meat away from my diet though. What do you think?
Actually, I've been vegetarian for 7 years. So it's great we're talking about this. I mean, I think I agree or strongly agree if you have the capacity to change your diet. And I think that really involves a certain amount of privilege in like choosing what to buy, whether you have alternatives, right? But it also really depends on the context. If you live in a country that has a lot of livestock and that is part of your diet, then sure, like maybe it doesn't make sense to be plant-based.
We can just reduce the amount of meat that we eat instead of cutting it out completely. That probably works. Some effort is better than no effort.
Yeah, for sure. I think sometimes it can be much easier to be in between than to take an extreme stance.
In between? I would say
towards agree.
I would say agree.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I should cut down on the meat. Yes, we've run out of cuts here, but again, that's not the end of the conversation we can have here about climate change. There's many more issues that are worth just a short talk about with your friends, with your families, and all.
Yeah, I hope that today we demystified some of these thoughts that you might, or questions that you might be having about climate action.
You can make a difference. You can start something, start a movement, start a discussion with your friends. You can even come down to the Science Centre and play this game yourself.
Yeah, I think as a start, I would definitely recommend joining a group, finding a community. I think it's always easier to do things together and always easier to do things when you're having fun, right? And we'll put some resources in the link below, in the description below, and hope that that's a good start.